addressing the issue of debt. We wanted to chart a course on this issue as well. Therefore, Italy has decided to launch a vast program to convert the debt of African nations, which includes among its main points the complete transformation of the debt of the most fragile and vulnerable countries into investments, and the strengthening
Africa is in debt, but the real question is, who is really in chains? Today, while African leaders smile in Addis Ababa, handshakes are exchanged. Cameras flash and speeches are applauded. One man is not smiling. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is not celebrating, because behind beautiful words like partnership, investment, and development, there is a dangerous old game being played again. Italy's Prime Minister...
Wow! In a shocking and strategic move of Italy, the Prime Minister of Italy, as you heard, she said Italy is going to convert debts into investments. African leaders celebrated that initiative. African leaders celebrated that statement. But me and you, let us go deep into this issue. Before sharing the full speech delivered by the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, let us, we as Africans, look deep into these statements. Italy is going to convert debts into investments. What Italy is targeting? Is Italy targeting African minerals? Yes. They know very well that Africa, we don't have money to pay back. So what they will tell us, they want to invest in minerals. They want to invest in resources. It's not about investment, it's about taking resources. One time I said, you know, the Western power use debts as a tool to access resources. They know very well that with these debts, African countries cannot pay back. They know very well. And that's why even Chinese have given us loans. They know very well we have corrupt leaders. We have leaders who are so greedy, so they cannot pay back those debts. So what they're doing, they are targeting our natural resources. That's what Italy is looking for. So for another time, we'll see that Africans or African countries losing resources through what we believe investment. It is investment outside, but inside it is taking resources of Africans. So family, brothers and sisters, before talking a lot of things, let me share a full speech delivered by the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, at African Union Summit. Here is a full speech.
Ministers, authorities, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to be here with you today. And I would like to express my heartfelt thanks once again to President Yusuf and President Lorenzo, as well as to all of you for this historic opportunity offered to Italy. The invitation to participate in the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the African Union, the forum in which this organization discusses its fundamental political choices and determines the strategic direction of the continent, is a recognition that can only make Italy proud and that will Italy accept with respect and a sense of responsibility. It is a demonstration of trust that we will not disappoint. I have the honor to lead a nation that has in its DNA characteristics that historically make it a respected and valued partner. Propensity for dialogue, capacity for discussion, respect for others before anything else. A nation that has built part of its identity and its foreign policy on the profound meaning of a world that in times as unstable and unpredictable as ours can be the key to charting the course. And that word is cooperation. The word cooperation comes from the Latin cooperare, to work with. True cooperation, that is, never sees an active and a passive subject, but exists only in a relation between equals, a relation in which the specificities of each one are indispensable for achieving a common goal. If you look down on someone, you cannot cooperate with them. If you want to plunder their resources, you are not cooperating with them. Even if you just want to give charity, you cannot call it cooperation, for cooperation is another thing. And what Italy wants to do is to cooperate. Yesterday, together with many of you, we attended the second Italy-Africa Summit, the first ever to be held on this continent. I would like to thank the Ethiopian Prime Minister, my friend Abiy Ahmed, and the leaders of the African Union for their hospitality and cooperation in organizing the event. In that context, we discussed what we can do to further strengthen and consolidate one of the most concrete outcomes of this idea of cooperation, which is the Mattei Plan for Africa. The investment plan that Italy has implemented in various nations of the continent in areas ranging from infrastructure to agriculture, from health to training. This is a strategy that we have built together because we do not conceive of the Mattei Plan as an Italian plan for Africa, but as Italy's contribution to your agenda, with a particular focus on this year on water-related projects. It is an open platform for putting our know-how, our technologies, our investments at the service of the objectives that the African Union has set out in Agenda 2063, starting with the creation of a continental free trade area that is integrated and prosperous. This is an ambitious goal which we will support and which will require efficient, secure, and fast economic interconnections in order to be achieved. Like the Lobito corridor, the railway and infrastructure backbone that will connect African markets to global ones and bring people, ideas, and economies closer together. A strategic project that sees Italy at the forefront, together with the United States and the European Union. In short, the Mattei Plan is a comprehensive strategy that generates concrete benefits for our peoples and aims to continually expand its scope, relying on the irreplaceable contribution of major United Nations agencies, and I want to thank the Secretary General Antonio Guterres, but also the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and many other partners who increasingly share our vision. 2 years ago in Rome, we set out the course together. And in recent years, we have followed it with consistency and determination, adding a new piece to the mosaic each time and bringing new nations on board every year. We have done so on many fronts, starting with what I consider to be crucial for building a true free Africa capable of determining its own destiny, addressing the issue of debt. We wanted to chart a course on this issue as well. Therefore, Italy has decided to launch a vast program to convert the debt of African nations, which includes among its main points the complete transformation of the debt of the most fragile and vulnerable countries into investments, and the strengthening of the contribution to the World Bank's AIDA funds. Similarly, we've introduced specific debt suspension clauses into our bilateral loans allowing African nations affected by extreme weather events to free up fiscal space to help their population and rebuild essential infrastructures. These are choices based on justice and responsibility, which are crucial for freeing up resources that are vital for development and for assuring peace and prosperity, including in those areas of the continent that are currently more affected than others by instability, insecurity, and serious humanitarian crises, such as neighboring Sudan and Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. But we also want our collaboration to be political at the multilateral level. We want to help strengthen the valuable work carried out daily by the African Union, ensuring greater consistency to the mediation activities carried out by the UN and the European Union and key international partners. We will continue to do our part because we are aware that the future of Italy and Europe also depends on a secure, prosperous, and peaceful Africa. It is often said in the many analyses of the troubled and complex times we are living in that history has started running again. This is true. And my opinion is that today it is running here. Africa is not a marginal chapter in this story, far from it. And those who do not understand this scenario risk being left behind. But those who understand this scenario see the reality. A continent with 1,000 peculiarities and 1,000 demands, some of which are very different from each other. A continent rich in resources, raw materials, and arable land, which can count on a decisive force in the age of knowledge, which is human capital. This is why Italy has focused much of its energy on training projects for young people, including in the field of artificial intelligence. In short, our point of view is that Italy and Europe cannot think about the future without taking Africa into proper consideration, because our future also depends on yours. Aware of this, Italy intends to continue to be a privileged bridge between Europe and Africa, making available the strength of its institutions, its great tradition of dialogue, and the expertise of its companies. We want to do this also to achieve another goal that we all consider momentous, to guarantee the men and women of this continent a freedom that has often been denied them, the freedom to choose to remain in their country, to contribute to its growth without being forced to leave it, often paying unscrupulous traffickers to risk their lives in an attempt to cross the Mediterranean. Those who believe that migration is necessary and indispensable are in fact acting selfishly. If young people leave their land and their people in pursuit of the promise of a better life, what will become of the history, culture, and existence of a country they have abandoned? These words are not mine, nor those of a political leader, but of a son who is proud of Africa and who holds Africa's future close to his heart, which is the Guinean Cardinal Robert Sarah. Clearly, in order to guarantee the right not to have to emigrate, it is necessary to offer concrete opportunities for training and work, to enhance human capital and improve the quality of education, invest in skills and educational systems, and create industrial partnership and joint ventures capable of generating stable, quality employment in the territories. This is our mission. which is being put into practice in the many initiatives that Italy is promoting, including together with the African Union. And what I would like to see today is, in this solemn place dedicated to another great son of a free and proud Africa, Nelson Mandela, is a great alliance between us to put training, research, university, and innovation at the center of our common commitment. An alliance aimed not at taking away talent, but at multiplying it and building a model of development that respects people and values different identities. Presidents, prime ministers, dear friends, Pliny the Elder, one of the most famous historians of ancient Rome, said that something new always arises from Africa. So my wish for each of us is that something new may truly arise from today's meeting, something that no one expects or that many considered impossible. For impossible is usually the word that people without courage use. Something capable of astonishing the world and suddenly making everything we have seen so far seem trivial. I thank you all. Presidents.
Again, Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has proposed something that sounds generous: convert Africa's debt into investment projects, suspend repayments after climate disasters, build infrastructure, water systems, energy projects, and skills programs. On the surface, it sounds like help, but history has taught Africa a painful lesson. When they say investment, they often mean extraction. When they say partnership, they often mean control. Is this development, or is this just a smarter form of colonialism? Let's be honest with ourselves. Africa is one of the richest continents on Earth, rich in gold, oil, gas, cobalt, lithium, uranium, copper, rich in land, water, youth, and sunlight. Yet Africa is also one of the most indebted continents. How is that possible? Because for decades, Africa has been trapped in a system where we export raw materials cheap. We import finished products, expensive. We borrow money to survive. And then we pay interest forever. This is not an accident. This is a design. Debt becomes a tool of control, a silent chain. No soldiers, no tanks, just contracts, interest rates, and conditions. And now, when Africa is drowning in debt, the same system says, "Don't worry, we will convert your debt into investment." But investment in what exactly? Let's not be naive. Italy is not coming to Africa because of charity. No country invests billions out of kindness. They are targeting minerals, strategic resources, energy, critical supply chains, rare earths, future green tech materials. Why? Because the world is changing. The energy transition is happening, and Africa holds the keys to that future. Lithium for batteries, cobalt for electric cars, uranium for nuclear power, gas and oil for energy security. So when they say, "Let us convert your debt into infrastructure projects," what they often mean is, "Let us secure your resources, your logistics routes, your ports, your energy systems, in exchange for your debt." This is not new. This is colonialism wearing a suit and tie. Yesterday, they came with guns. Today, they come with contracts. Let's be honest again. Many African leaders are happy about this proposal. Why? Because it reduces pressure from creditors. It looks good in the media. It sounds like progress. It brings quick money. It postpones political problems. But quick solutions often create long-term disasters. Instead of asking, how do we industrialize Africa? How do we control our resources? How do we build African-owned value chains? They ask, who will lend us money next? Who will invest next? Who will save us next? And that mindset is the real crisis. This is why Captain Ibrahim Traoré is not celebrating, because Traoré represents a dangerous idea for the old system. Africa does not need more debt. Africa does not need more dependency. Africa needs sovereignty. Traoré is saying, process our own gold, refine our own minerals, manufacture our own products, feed our own people, arm our own industries, control our own destiny. That is why he looks sad when others are smiling, because he knows if Africa keeps trading debt for dependency, we're only changing the shape of our chains. Meloni also proposed suspending debt repayments after climate disasters. On the surface, this sounds humane. And yes, Africa suffers from climate change it did not cause. But ask yourself, who polluted the most? Who industrialized first? Who built wealth using fossil fuels? Yet Africa is the one paying the price. Now climate becomes a new negotiating tool, a new condition, a new lever of influence. Instead of let Africa industrialize cleanly and freely, the message becomes, we will help you, but on our terms. And their terms often mean control of projects, control of contracts, control of resources, control of policies. The real question is not, is this proposal good or bad? The real question is, who controls the assets? Who controls the profits? Who controls the future? If Africa does not own the mines, does not own the factories, does not own the energy, does not own the infrastructure, then Africa is not developing. Africa is just working for others on its own land. The solution is not isolation. The solution is not hatred. The solution is not rejecting all partnerships. The solution is power. African-owned banks, African industrial policy, African processing of resources, African trade and African currencies, African unity and negotiation, African leaders who think long-term, not election term. Partnerships must be on Africa's terms, with African ownership, for African industrialization, not dead disguised as development. Africa does not need saving. Africa needs self-belief, strategy, and courage. The world is not fighting for Africa because Africa is poor. The world is fighting for Africa because Africa is rich. And until Africa understands that, others will keep explaining our future to us. The age of begging must end. The age of building must begin. And as Traore reminds us, a sovereign Africa is not negotiable.
Thank you, Africa, Mama Africa. You make Africa great. Thank you, Africa.